Imagine you've gotten away from your work, you're on holiday, on one of those cruises. And one of these ships, they're huge. These cruise ships are stories high. You saved money all year, bought yourself a ticket, and now you're away from New York City or Blacksburg, Virginia, on holiday. You're out on the deck of the ship reading a trash novel, and literally there's nothing to stress you out. It's just life is good, you know. The most stressful thing you got to think about today is, what are you going to have for lunch, you know? Am I going to go to the 7th deck and have that Polynesian, or will I go up to the very top and do the barbecue thing today? And oh my gosh, the decision just overwhelms you, so you take a nap. At one point you're reading your book and a piece of paper gets away from you, and the next thing you know, you're out of your seat chasing the paper across the deck. And then you notice you've got your hand on your hat, and when you look around you see other passengers, they've all got their hands on their hats. It's then that you see in the distance on the horizon this cloud stuff. The source of this gusting wind is this cloud stuff. It looks like gray steel wool, and you realize we're heading into a storm. So you gather up your things, you know, to go below deck, and you're just opening that giant metal door. When you notice something, you see something happen that you can't even believe. It's kind of incomprehensible. You think it must be an optical illusion. That can't have just happened. But one of your fellow passengers, in a huge gust of wind, is swept off his feet, and he disappears over the railing of the ship. You're standing there with your stuff in your hands going, did I just see that? And you see a bunch of fellow passengers running to the railing of the ship. You run there too, and sure enough, stories below is this guy screaming and hollering at the top of his lungs. He's swallowed up by the water and spit back out. He's overboard. And then you hear one of your fellow passengers yell, "Man overboard! Man overboard! Call a human services provider! There's a man overboard!" And in what seems to take place in a kind of slow motion, this well-dressed man and well-dressed woman, dressed to the nines, come onto the deck of the ship, and they walk slowly over to the railing. They look overboard. They see the guy, stories below, swallowed up by the water and screaming. And the well-dressed man has in his hands a megaphone. And through the megaphone, he shouts to the guy down below, "That's attention-seeking behavior. And until you calm down, we are not going to provide you with any support whatsoever." Now, people laugh at that, you know, how silly that sounds. But I think it happens all the time to people who experience disabilities. They're terrified, and we barely seem to notice.